Then he was like, don't you know that having sex with a girl when she's on her period is how you get AIDS? Hi, I'm Jessica.
Hi, I'm Sue.
Hi, I'm Renee.
Hi, I'm Leah, and this is
ZULA ChickChats.
Okay, hi guys. So on today's episode of ChickChats, we're gonna be talking about a little something that marked our womanhood as we were growing up, which is our periods. Woohoo!
Yes.
So let's just talk about when you guys first got your periods, because it's probably happened to us when you were very young, right?
I got mine in like primary 5, I think.
Okay.
Then before that, right, because primary 5 don't even have like sex education in school yet, so I didn't even know what a period was. Then like when I saw it in my underwear, I was like, by that time it already like dry a bit, so it kind of like is brown instead of red.
Yeah.
Then I thought it was poop. And I was freaking out like, wait, did I like poop in my underwear and not know? Like, how is this possible? I'm so ashamed. Then I was so embarrassed. Then the first thing I said to my mom was, I'm sorry. Yeah, then I felt so sad. Then she looked at me. Then the first thing she said was, huh? So fast come already? Okay, come. Then she like introduced me to like pads and everything. Then I was just heavily burdened.
Yeah, primary 5 is a very early age, right?
Oh my God. But also primary 5.
Oh, you also primary 5?
Sister. We peaked, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Peaked early, yeah. It was just like very moist lah. I was like, why so wet down there?
Oh,
Okay.
But it was blood.
Yeah.
So it was brownish or not much reaction to it. I was like, oh shit, now I gotta deal with this for the rest of my
I
life.
know. If it started later, then we can still have like a few years of freedom.
That's true
I'm a late bloomer, so mine came when I was 15.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That one is sec what?
Sec 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so
And
late.
because it's so late, right? I think just a few months before, I went for a checkup because like I should have my period already.
Yeah.
They actually stick something into your tongue there, your vagina. Yeah, to check. And then after that, my period came.
Yeah, actually I got my quite late also, like when I was 14 I think. But it was like a okay lor. Yeah, I know, I just remember it was after sports day. I came home like sweaty in my like running attire. Then I was like, oh, what's this?
Was there a lot?
No, it wasn't. It was I think just what happened like when I was
Okay.
like at the end of sports day.
Oh, lucky.
Not like
Yeah,
when I running,
Then you leave like you leave a trail.
yeah, it's disgusting Okay, but speaking of leaving trails, have you had any of those embarrassing like period stories that I think a lot of girls can relate to?
It's so horrifying, like not even like it actually happened, even the fear, like I cannot wear white pants, cannot wear this, cannot wear that. Actually, like I think I have not had the misfortune of leaking in public yet.
Oh, that's
but
great.
Then I very vividly remember on one of my birthdays, I think it was like 17th birthday, I woke up, right? And then apparently for like, I don't even know how many hours, the past 4 or 5 that I was asleep, my period came. Gone already, the underwear, it's not just like a stain you can wash. Then I'm just like, okay, this is the first time in my life, I'm gonna take my underwear and chuck it in the bin.
Yeah, I've like tossed away more than 10 panties from periods day.
Are you serious? I wish
Yeah,
I
like
could wash
15
one.
maybe, a lot. No, because I think I always, maybe I move a lot in my sleep or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then even though I wear those extra long pads and everything, I still always stain What's going on? You
Me
too?
too, me
Yeah.
too.
Oh, and I used to get super bad period pains, right? It's like so bad that when I was younger, like I really wanted to get sent to the hospital. It was just like, even if I take a lot of painkillers, it was very bad. Then I would be like white, shaking and like perspiring in cold sweat, that kind. It was damn bad lah. Then my mom was like, it's okay, I dealt with this when I was young also. You don't need to go to the hospital, you won't die. I heard that after you give birth, right, then not pain already.
Oh.
Something to look forward to.
For me, it's worse. I fainted twice or thrice
God.
while I was on my period. I think because I didn't really eat much when I was on my period, and then it was like the first day, so I just fainted on the train, fainted in a bank, and then it was raining that day. I didn't wear a shirt, I just wear a hoodie and zip up.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for my grandma, and then suddenly I fainted. So they called the doctor next door, right, to check on me. Then he wanted to unzip.
Oh.
Then suddenly I realized, wait, it's just bra underneath. Then I'm like, 等一下，我里面没有穿衣服。 So from then on, I just make sure I eat all the time, especially when I'm on my period.
Okay, so then, right, what is the strangest thing or like the weirdest thing you've ever heard about like periods in general?
The dumbest shit I ever heard in my life, right, was from this guy that I dated for 9 months. He one day when I was on my period, I was like, you still want to do it? And then he was like, no. I was very adamant, no. Why? Then he was like, don't you know that having sex with a girl when she's on her period is how you get AIDS? And I fucking just like, that was the moment I knew, right? I wanted to stop dating him.
Yeah.
Dumb as fuck. No, he says like period is like dirty blood and
What?
Excuse you.
the level of ignorance.
I'm just like, first of all, it's not dirty blood. Like, why do people associate it with it being like dirty? It's like, dude, like you want to get people pregnant, you need like this is a normal process for you to go through. You know what I mean?
But I was reading like this internet story. This girl said that she was in school. Then she told her form teacher, who was like this old uncle, that oh, my period just came. May I be excused to go to the restroom and put on a pad? Then he got angry. Then he was like, no, it's in the middle of my lesson. You can wait until like lunch. He thinks that a period is like a girl going to pee. Like he doesn't know that it just flows out.
Oh my
So
god.
he was like, how dare you like decide to have your period in the middle of my class? You can like jolly well wait until lunch.
Thinking, how dare you pee in my class?
Yeah.
You choose to have your period as well.
I think another misconception is that the use of tampons. Like a lot of girls, maybe like I don't know if it's like Asian or like Singaporean girls, they're damn scared to use because they're like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose my virginity if I put tampon on my vagina. I don't know.
When I was a teenager, right, then I want to like try and use tampons. So I bought a pack. Then I went to this female friend whom I looked to as like a older sister figure. Then I thought confirm she have experience with tampons. So I asked her like, do you use tampons? Then she was very disgusted. She was like, what the fuck, no? And then guess what she said? I'm not a slut.
No.
Like, huh?
Oh,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Then I said, oh, okay, I tried to use a tampon, but I couldn't. I don't know how other girls can wear it so easily and rely on it. Then she was like, oh, because they got loose ones. A few years down the road when I could finally use tampons, then I still keep thinking about what she said. Then I'm like, oh my god, is it because I have like
A loose one. Please, if someone is telling you that wearing a tampon makes you a slut, I'll just be like, please search on the internet for better reassurance that it's not. So to conclude this episode, right, how should we like avoid these embarrassing period situations? Or any advice?
Always bring extra pets out.
And bring extra, maybe bring cardigan or something. So if you do stain, right,
You can wrap around,
Yeah,
right?
just
Yeah,
wrap.
have fun, sister.
I thought you were going to say bring cardboard, then you said
I think a good tip would be to wear slightly fitting pants that are dark coloured. Because if you wear a skirt, right, then you stain out, it'll be all over your legs and it's just
Yeah.
like free flow onto
Yeah.
the couch, right? But if you wear pants, it sort of like keeps your pet in place. So I find wearing pants makes me feel more secure. Lah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think it's very important to eat and drink, especially when you're on period. Because while losing blood, you might get slightly weaker. I think that was why I fainted.
And I think just in general, don't make periods such a taboo topic. Yeah, between both genders. I feel that it's something that if you're in a committed relationship with someone, dating someone, I think it's something that you should be open about.
I think as we grow older, we start to be less shy about these kind of things.
Yeah.
Like when I take out my pet now to go to the toilet, right, I won't hide it.
Then there are some girls who are so shy, right? They try to like rip the packaging softly. Because if you rip it, then
Oh, in
people
the
are
toilet,
like,
like,
I hear a pet.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, never mind lah, just rip lah. So you're just gonna throw away.
Yeah.
You're in the cubicle so nobody knows you.
Then they were like, then like,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Don't be embarrassed. It's normal, guys.
Yeah. But I can see the change now though. Like there are guy friends around me, right? They will actually buy pets for their girlfriends. And
Yeah.
they will help.
So today we talked about period stories, funny, embarrassing, and truly horrifying ones. But you know what? Don't have to be embarrassed about it because all girls have to go through it.
So if you guys like this video, feel free to leave a comment down below and also let us know what else to talk about next time. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye!